2022, it's been a tough year for us car guys and gals. Why? Because it feels like every new car introduction has been an EV crossover or something or other. But there have been bright spots. A manual transmission in a Supra, the GR Corolla. But guess what? 2022 ain't gonna end on an EV crossover note. Instead, it's gonna end with a favorite that has more power. Okay, so what exactly is it? Well, it's a completely new M2 for 2023, but what is it based on? We've already driven that. That is the M240i, and if you remember, that car was a bit wider. Some of the dimensions changed, which made it dynamically a fantastic thing. However, a couple of things go into this, and that is a little bit of lightweighting. We'll get into one bit a little bit later. But this car, the way it sits here with the manual transmission, is 3,817 pounds, or depending on your express your weights and measures, 1,730 kilograms. If it had the automatic, the 8-speed torque converter automatic, it would be about 40 pounds heavier. Then there's the engine, and here I'd love to show it to you, but there is the BMW police off camera there, and he's not letting me open up the hood to show it to you. So everybody say in the comments, boo Jay and Alex, because they're the ones that are keeping the hood closed. Anyway, it is a S58, which is the same engine that's in the M3 and the M4. So it's a 3-liter inline 6 that's turbocharged, but it's detuned from M3 and M4 duty. Here it's 453 horsepower, 406 pounds of torque. That translates to 4.1 seconds to 60 for the manual, 3.9 for the automatic. Now, something interesting about the engine, actually two interesting things. Number one, this is not like the B58 where it's a single turbo that has a variable scroll in the turbocharger. This is two turbochargers that are single scroll, and basically one turbocharger feeds the first 3 cylinders and the other feeds the second 3 cylinders. Now, you may remember in our M240 episode, we talked a little bit about the lengths BMW goes through to get some light weighting in there, mainly ultra high strength steel in some parts of the construction, and specifically in suspension, aluminum bits. Here, they take that one step further with that turbocharger. Yeah, it's 2 small turbochargers, but then the intake manifold, parts of that are 3D printed. Then we press on to one sizable change from the old generation of M2 to this, and that is the wheels, specifically the sizes that are on offer. The previous car was 19s. This is staggered 19-20. Then the brakes themselves, no carbon ceramic on offer. However, this is the M Sport brake that is fitted as standard. Now, as an aside, I did have the opportunity to chat with the man who heads this car for the US, great guy, John, proper car guy, and asked him, what do the BMW engineers do to change the brakes, the M Sport brakes, from both the standard brakes on a car like this, or really an M240, or from other manufacturers that do performance metallic brakes? And frankly, he didn't have a specific answer, but felt it had something to do with the cooling of the brakes as well as the formulation of the pads. Now that brings us to the specifics of this application. 6 piston calipers in the front, 1 piston caliper in the rear. There is the option to choose between 2 different colors of brake calipers, which gets us to a bit of a theme with this generation of M2. Inside, it's what we'd expect from the M240. Obviously, there's been some changes in terms of making this an M car. The steering wheel is exactly what we'd expect for like an M3. And really, just as an aside, this is one of my favorite steering wheels because of the feel of the steering wheel. It's a thicker rim steering wheel. But then the biggest change here are really 2 things. Number one, it obviously has this new like UX design that BMW has done in all of their cars, whether they're gas or electric. Here it works well in the design of this car. And then more importantly, the seats. There are 2 different seats on offer. There's the basic seat, which, you know, that's what we've seen in other M cars. Then there's this, the carbon bucket seats, which for the avoidance of doubt are made by BMW at the factory in Munich, and then they're installed in either the M3, M4, or now these. This is an option, and the unique part about this option, aside from the design, it lowers the weight by 24 pounds. Now, me personally, I'm like one of the few people that actually likes these seats. They're very stiff. The only complaint that I would have, you can't get cooled seats. When it's fitted with this seat, it's only a heated seat. The rest of the changes on the inside are limited to color and trim and tactile feel. Like, for example, there's this contrast piece of blue leather on the outside of the carbon fiber seat, and then the M GmbH colors are on the door panel. You would think they would be on the seat belt, so it's either an issue that this is a pre-production unit or a non-competition model. Now, yes, there are some other technical bits that go along with all this. It still has that double joint strut in the front, like the M240, and a multi-link unit in the rear. Then the roof, notice this one is fitted with a carbon fiber roof. As standard, it's fitted with a moon roof. The carbon fiber roof can be spec'd as optional and lowers the weight by 48 pounds. Then there's the design. As we discussed in the M240 episode, this was a different direction for BMW design. It's both purposeful and attractive at the same time. A designer doesn't need to come out and say to you, hey, this is why we did this. If I were to give it a term, muscular beauty, and that is not something that came from PR or marketing. And this really, I think, is more of a personal decision here. I've spoken to some of the folks here. They said, I don't like the look. I personally think it's very unique because it still looks like an M car, which gets us to the important part of the discussion. How much is it going to cost? And there, BMW has shared some information. This will have a base price of $62,000 US, be about $1,000 destination handling. And this is an M car. It's not going to be made in Germany. These will be coming out of their factory in Mexico, which brings us to the wish list. And here I don't have much to add because we have a car with more power, a car that has a manual transmission on offer, and frankly is attractive. So really the only thing I could ask for is limited editions that come out a bit sooner, perhaps do the Porsche trick where there's different technology changes or maybe light weighting and offer different models in limited run numbers. But I am one man, and this is the point of the episode where I turn this around to you guys to opine in the comments below or via our social media. MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word. While a Jet, a G550, is on final approach to Palm Springs here. Now that he's gone, let's get back to this. Also, how about some input on the design here? Because it was like mixed when they revealed the car yesterday, so I want to understand what you guys think of this. A little bit behind the scenes, while they showed this car here, they also brought the new or really updated Alpina XB7. Until I see you in the next episode, bis später.